welcome back to the Clay Hand Studio. I am talking a little bit today about the different stages of clay through the making process. This is clay, and as it's pulled out of the bag of clay or the earth, if you're lucky enough, and all the way through to its first firing, it's known as greenware. So greenware essentially just means that it hasn't been chemically changed into ceramic yet. As we fire the clay, we remove any of the chemically bound water left in the clay. But when you first pull it out of the bag, it still has a high water content, and then as you work with it, it slowly starts to lose that moisture and shrink. And then in that shrinking process, we have different stages of clay. So this is just wet clay. And then you get leather hard clay, so where the clay is as hard as a thick piece of hard leather. So this is a leather hard pot that you can see it isn't moving when I lightly touch it. But then I think something that confuses people is they then see this that's lost its moisture and think that it's been fired because it's changed color from, this is the same clay, but it's just lost its moisture to the atmosphere. But the test is, if you bang it, if you tap it, it has quite a dull, dead sound. It doesn't have a ring to it. So that's how we know it hasn't been fired yet. So then this has been bisque fired. So bisque fired, bisque essentially just means biscuit in French, and you can hear it has a bit of a ring to it. It's still porous at this stage because it's a very low firing. It's at about 1,000 degrees Celsius. But it has already been now chemically changed, and it cannot go back to mud or earth, or maybe, over a couple of millennia. But at this stage, it has changed forever. And at this stage, we would then dip it into a glaze, or paint underglaze onto it. And so it's kind of like a pausing moment in the making process where you can add quite a bit of moisture. Like if you're dipping it into a glaze, it's essentially dipping it into a bucket of water. And if you were to dip something like this into that bucket of water, it just wouldn't be able to take that amount of liquid. And then we have the glass firing, which is where we're firing that glaze onto the pot, and it then has this final, very beautiful ring to it. But you get different types of glass firing. So we go from bisque, which is 1,000 degrees, to earthenware, which is about 1,000 degrees to 1180. And that's usually terracotta, so we often do pot plants or things that need to be low fired and cheaply made generally. And then we get stoneware, which is 1180 to as high as 1350 if you're working with porcelain. And that is generally a bit stronger, and it's as hard as stone. So if you wanted to be dishwasher safe, you would use stoneware. I hope that answers some questions and gives you a brief breakdown of those stages of clay. Thanks.